Welcome to the channel. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Join me on today's video where I am very excited to present this beautiful Seig Flamma watch to you. Now I am absolutely gassed about this watch, and you know what, fortunately enough I did make the right decision by pulling the trigger on this piece from AliExpress. As I showed you guys in the unboxing, this watch has got the best finishing at this price point. It's absolutely ridiculous how well they've done this watch, and I will go as far as to say that this is the best dive watch, the best vintage dive watch, whatever design you want to attribute to the watch, on AliExpress for the money, hands down. There's nothing that comes close at the crazy price point that this watch is for. So I'll tell you at the start of the review, this watch is absolutely amazing. I've had it on wrist. I can't stop looking at this watch. So now allow me to take you through the review and tell you why I think this is the best watch out there on AliExpress, considering the price as well. I'm conscious that the AliExpress sale is starting on the 23rd of August. So I'm trying to get a few videos out there for you guys. So I've been extremely busy, but I will be away for a few days where I won't be able to do any YouTube videos. So I'd like to get everything out that I can for you guys, just so you can make some really nice purchases come the sale. So wrist check for today, I am wearing the Heimdallr Frost version 2 Monster, but it is all about this beautifully crafted watch. As you can tell, this is homaging the Christopher Ward watches. You know, it's a very vintage inspired dive watch, and boy am I getting annoyed at saying vintage divers, but you know, that is all the rage. That is what is coming out there from the micro brands on AliExpress. That is what's popular these days. I'll go through the specs, I'll go through the dimensions, and I'll talk you through all the positive points that I've seen on this watch. You know, as you guys know, I do tend to focus on the finishing and the overall quality of a watch. I've said it time and time again, AliExpress is giving us just crazy value for money. And it's giving us the same specs in every watch, starting as low as, you know, 50 to 60 pounds, or around $90, up to $250, $350. You know, the specifications are present, but what separates all these watches is the attention to detail, the finishing, the design, and you know, all those little features that do really finish off a watch. So let's start off with the case diameter. You do have it at spot on 42 millimeters. You have a 13 millimeter thickness, and you do have a lug to lug of 48 millimeters. The lug width is 22 millimeters, and the bracelet does taper down to a gorgeous 18 millimeters. The overall weight of the watch is 150 grams, and that is with, I think, 3 links removed. With regards to specifications, as you can tell, you do have a 316L stainless steel case construction, including the bezel, case back, crown, and bracelet. The watch has an aluminium bezel insert on top of a 120 click coin edge unidirectional diving bezel. You do have a box style sapphire crystal with AR coating. You do have 200 meters of water resistance, aided by a screw down crown and also a screw down case back. Now the bracelet does also come with a diver's extension, which I'll show you a little bit later on, and also a milled clasp. Now the price of the watch, are you ready for it, is £110, $150, or around 127 euros. Now that price point is crazy to give you all the specs that I have mentioned, and I think what makes it stand out is just the finishing, the level of quality present on this watch. And you'll see just some of the close-ups. The level of finishing is absolutely crazy, considering it's only £110. That's steel dive money, that's Pagani design money, and you know, this watch will blow them all out of the water. This watch shouldn't sit next to San Martin's best piece. This is that quality, and of course a lot of the watches from micro brands, even this can definitely compete with them. So let's start off with the dial. As you can see, you do have this satin finished black dial present with a mixture of printed features and applied features. So below the 12 o'clock marker, you do have Seig Flamma in stylized text in white. Above the 6, you've got diver in red text with automatic 200 meters in white. Now you've got a printed minute track around the dial with thicker markers at the 5-minute intervals, and you've also got a date frame at the 3 o'clock, and you can see that does have beveled edges. The hour markers are applied, and they have these highly polished frames around. You do have a dual baton at the 12 o'clock. You have a single baton at the 6, and at the 9, and you've got a half baton at the 3 o'clock and circular hour markers in between. As you can see, this has the old style radium loom applied to all the hour markers, and when we come to the hands, we can see these are chamfered baton style hands with a lollipop style seconds hand, and I love the size of that pip. As you can see, it is very visible. Now, the dial aesthetics, you know what, it does look vintage with the old radium solid loom applied, and I think it just looks so good. I don't know what it is. Is it maybe the box style sapphire crystal that they have placed on? An excellent choice, by the way, but that gives you just great clarity on the dial. And of course, the AR coating isn't obstructive. As you can see, it's just a tiny amount, which is the exact right amount you want, but you know, you do get a lot of space on the dial. It looks a lot bigger than it actually is. It is only a 42mm diver, but you know, just great visibility, and the features are just really well done, and amazing attention to detail. And I keep mentioning the price point. Looking at the chamfering on the hands, the polishing, just look at that light play, and under some conditions, certain angles, you know, the hands do look really thin, but that is due to those chamfered hands where it reflects light from only one side. So it's a perfect combination of a very classy slash dressy, you know, vintage dive watch, which is all the new skin divers are trying to do, is basically dressed up divers, right? You can definitely wear this out anyway, and it will go with a suit, shirt, you know, whatever, casual, whatever you feel, because I think it's got all these sly little features which make it a very diverse watch indeed. Now, moving on to the bezel, you do have a coin edge polished bezel, very thin, low profile bezel with a raised loom pip. Now the loom pip does have this polished frame around the side, so it isn't just protruding or it isn't sharp. It is quite smooth on either end, and you've got this red aluminium bezel insert. Let's check out the bezel. A very vintage feeling bezel. You know, it is low profile, as you can hear the sound. You know, it is a high pitched sound slightly. It rotates really well. The bezel fits fine. There's no back play in it. There's no movement in it, and as you can see, the alignment is perfect. But I bought two pieces. I'll show you the other dial as well, and we'll check the bezel there for consistency. But you know, I think it works. It sounds really nice, and it is a really nice bezel to turn. Okay, let's move on to the case. Let's start off with the crown. I already mentioned there's no crown guard. The crown is signed with the Seig Flamma logo. The crown does have really good machining, and with the absence of the crown guards, it makes the crown really easy to use. It is a screw down crown. As you can see, it sticks out quite a bit, so you can get good grip of it. NH35 movement powering this watch. Date alignment is perfect. Hacks. Now when we turn our attention to the case, you see it's got a mixture of different finishes on there. Now the top surface, the A face, is brushed, and look how fine that brushing is, almost a satin like feel. And look at the fitting on the end links. Look how they go with the shape of the case. Just look at that, nothing sticking out, nothing protruding, and it seems to fit just so well on the case, and it follows the natural shape as well. Now when we turn the case on the side, you'll see some really beautiful curves and contours present on the case, and you've got impeccable finishing. So along the top, that bevel edge is highly polished, which is then separated by the center line, which is brushed linearly, and just underneath that you've got again a polished surface. So that really does break the case up really well, and when you find watches that have this kind of finishing, it really does separate them from a lot of the watches out there. It just adds that bit of quality to it. Let's show you the case back, and you've got the Seig Flamma logo on the back, and you've got your standard specifications, the model number, etc. And you do have this really thick case back, really well machined, just something slightly different. But this is the one and only QC issue present on the watch. The case back is quite rough, so this logo has been finished well, and all the edges around there are slightly sharp and slightly edgy. That is something, just I don't know how they've missed that. That is quite sharp, and it needs to be smoothed down quite a lot, to be honest. On wrist, I've had it for a few days, and you know it's there, but it isn't that uncomfortable, mate. You feel like taking the watch off. Now let's look at the bracelet. I already touched upon the fit and finish of the end links. Now you'll notice they are male, but you'll notice they do curve down quite a bit, so there's no need for female end links. And you can see this taper Now, I do like a good tape on the bracelet. It goes down from 22mm all the way down to 18mm at the clasp. Fully brushed bracelet, nice links, no sharpness around. There's no rattle in there, and they do use pin and collar connectors to hold the links together, but these are quite easy to size. It's a long collar, and I find resizing this, especially with that mechanism, was quite easy compared to the rest that I have done. Now, looking at the clasp, you can see it is a fully milled clasp, really well made. You can see the sign clasp, Seig Flamma logo, and you can see the bevel edges along either side. So this is not your standard milled clasp that you get on AliExpress. It is a step above. Nice positive click, spring pushers, 3 micro adjusts, and as mentioned, this also has a diver's extension. Not the best diver's extension, it's quite thin, but it's solid, you know, and it does work. And more so at this price point, you are getting everything in terms of specifications that you need to have for a dive watch. So let's check out the loom on the watch. As I already mentioned, it is that vintage style loom, that old radium. And you know, those types of loom, they're not particularly bright. They don't last particularly long. They are visible slightly, but you know, it does give you a kind of good indication. I think there's enough layers applied, but you really can't get super bright with this type of loom. But it is present. It's been applied pretty evenly. I don't see any patchiness. The pip is just a bit duller, but the pip is noticeably a lot smaller. So there's not that much loom applied to that. So here we have the watch is on my wrist. My wrist is 6.5 inches, and I think these dimensions are bang on. 42mm, 48mm lug to lug, 13mm thick watch, and that's absolutely perfect, you know. And it looks really good. Really enjoy wearing this. As you've seen some of the B-rolls, I put up a wrist shot as well, an outdoor wrist shot. I think it looks just immaculate. Really well done, and this is mind-blowing for me. I don't know if you can tell in the way I'm doing the review. For £110, how, right? Unless they're not making any profit, because you know, you get Pagani's steel dives at this price range and the finishing is nowhere near. Yeah, now and then a brand might make a decent watch or half decent watch, but nothing at this level. So now it's just down to you if you like that particular design, but you will be hard pressed to find something as good as this. As mentioned, this is at San Martin level. Maybe on some watches they can even beat San Martin, but I'm holding a bit of reservation because I've not reviewed the latest models from San Martin. But let me just show you the blue dial here as well. I think the blue dial just looks stunning as well. Same features, and I was torn between which one I'm going to keep. So, you know, tried out the red and black. The blue looks awesome as well. The vintage hour markers look a lot better on the blue. Really does stand out, but they look good against the red and black as well. Let's check the bezel here. Same smooth rotation as the one I've got on my wrist. And good alignment as well. Spot on the 12 o'clock marker. If you're after a really well finished watch for the money, it is a no-brainer. Honestly, just so nice about it. As I mentioned, the only one thing that is to mention is just that case back. But what I might do is I might use a scouring pad and try to smooth that down a bit if I can, or I'll think of something anyway. I don't mind that, you know, because it is already brushed. It's not highly polished anyway, but it just cut slightly sharp. That is the only thing, and everything else is just immaculate. Brilliant. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know if you are going to put an order in for one, if this is indeed your style of watch. Now, I think my next video will be an AliExpress video, so keep an eye out for that. I'll link all the best watches that I think you should get. So keep your eyes peeled. I will give you my best recommendations. Thank you for watching, as always, and I'll see you on the next one.